But apparently, as much as we try to keep these things tight-lipped, he found out that we're doing a Q&A. And
there's a leak.
There is a leak. And he called into our, these go to 11 voicemail. And look, we've always said we'll play these messages when they come in, so we got to play it. But I think he has some questions of his own, so here we go.
It's Reverend James King of the James King James Bible-believing, teaching, preaching ministries. Friends, my sources have told me that tonight these absolute amillennial heretical fools are actually going to do a question and answer night. Oh, friends, have you ever heard anything more absurd and ridiculous and blasphemous than this? Friends, that would be like preschoolers answering questions about rocket science if you expect you're going to hear anything of any solid substance. Well, friends, I have some questions for these absolute fools in this brain trust. I understand they've got their favorite regular guest on tonight, Steve Hartland. I got some questions for you, Mr. Hartland. How is it that a 61-year-old man is still looking like an absolute fool driving around on that ridiculous Harley-Davidson Devil's Chariot motorcycle? Oh, my word. I hope you get used to the fumes coming out of that exhaust, Mr. Hartland, because they don't hold a candle to the fumes and flames you're about to face when one day you get thrown right off that Devil's Chariot and hit a tree. Your life on this earth ends. So you get used to it. And why, Mr. Hartland, are you still walking around proudly with your body dipped in all that devil's ink? Friends, look at him. This fool has more ink on him than a professional football player. And let me tell you this, that other fool does the podcast every week, Nathan Bell. Somebody pointed out I haven't gone after him yet. Friends, he's such an easy target. Nathan Bell. Let's ask for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for you. Friends, look up his, whatever that fancy social media page is, face space, whatever it's called. Look up his picture sometime. This fool has hair all the way down to his backside. Looks like a beatnik hippie. Not the way Goblin has their hair. Short and shorn. Clipped right above the ear, the way our Lord Jesus wore his hair. That's right. Oh, and friends, what about that other fool, Greg, whatever his name is, Dutcher? I don't know his name. Just hear his voice going on and on every week. I feel like I'm in a vomit. Just like our Lord will the Laodicean church. Friends, which is nothing more than this podcast is, a lukewarm pile of soon-to-be vomit. Friends, if you look at that Greg Dutcher closely, all the space around him is being gobbled up by what? You know what? More Greg Dutcher. Bigger and bigger and bigger than the Goodyear blimp. Oh, man. My question for you is, when are you going to run your mouth enough that it could actually convert to some calorie burn? See, friends, those questions, there's no point in asking any of them to these idiots. Do you realize at the King James Tabernacle, we have a question box in the back of our sanctuary? And that's where you get godly wisdom, because it only comes from me. That's right, the Reverend James King. Recently, I was asked a question by a little boy in that church, a little Johnny Wilson, who was concerned. And he said, Reverend King, can you tell me what happened to my little cat Whiskers? Just died, I don't know, some rare blood disorder. Who cares? The kitty cat died, and he wanted to know if his little fluffy kitty cat would end up on the streets of gold in heaven. And I wrote him back. I don't use the devil's communication email. I use a pen and paper the way God intended and deliver it through the U.S. of A. mail. And I wrote back, said, it always breaks my heart, young Johnny, to tell young people this. I'm not going to lie to you. Your little kitty cat didn't go to heaven. He's not walking on streets of gold. Now, friends, I thought right there of stopping, but I wouldn't be serving young Johnny if I let him think that perhaps his little kitty cat ceased to exist. I told him the biblical truth. I said, see, Johnny, using Bible logic, we know that your little Whiskers went straight to hell the moment he took his last tortured breath. See, using Bible logic, we know there's going to be a whole mess of people in hell. Now, most of them, of course, would be from California, and the others, I guess, would be Democrats. Of course, the lowest level in hell is populated by, you got it, Californian Democrats. Well, that's a whole mess of people, friends, that are going to need to be fed so they can be sustained through an eternity of torture at the hands of the loving God that they rejected. You see, I let little Johnny know that right now his little kitty cat whiskers was no doubt being savagely torn apart by bloodthirsty heathens looking for their morning meal on the brimstone shores of the lake of fire. See, we have to communicate the Bible's truth, friends, even to the young children in our midst. And if you have any questions, don't ask these fools on the Anti-Godcast. You ask the Reverend James King.
Wow, man. Wow.
He has spoken.
He has.